Hey Krishna, my friends. Hope you're all doing wonderful today. Today has been a very wonderful day for me, myself. So let's start by glorifying the previous acharyas. All glories to Ayendra Prabhu, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, and all the previous acharyas back to Lord Brahma and Lord Shri Krishna. So, for today's video, I have it pulled up here. I hope you guys can see it all right. If you can't, it looks like there's a gleam. I'm going to fix that really quick. Okay, give me just a moment. And I will be right back in just a second. Alrighty. Go. Sorry about that. My apologies. I didn't realize there would be such a gleam on the screen, as much as there is, but I'm trying to see here. I think you guys can see it all right, so I'll play along, and I'll point out some things as we go along. Let's pull this up as we're discussing this. So what I would encourage you all to do is pull up the music video in a different tab, if you can. It's the one called Heaven is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle, done in 1987. If you pull it up on a separate tab in YouTube, and then basically put it on mute, so as we go along, you'll be able to follow on with exactly what's being discussed as it's being discussed, okay? All right, so what we're going to start with first is discussing some interesting findings regarding this particular one and the various proofs and various interesting correlations. So why was this one chosen as a specifically directly encoded song? So to clarify, to refresh everybody's memory, if anybody doesn't recall, everything in the entire material universe, everything, top to bottom, is indirectly encoded by Radha and Krishna to show us about themselves, to ignite in us memory of our relationship with them, so on and so forth on a daily basis. So everything is indirectly encoded. What that means is basically they're passively showing us, giving us information while they're engaged in their own intimate pastimes. Passively, they're showing us all these different things. In certain cases, they directly are involved, however, in specifically encoding something, and that is the case with these particular three songs. Okay, basically the only main distinction is that in most cases they're indirectly encoding everything. Okay, indirectly sending us messages, where they're engaged in pastimes with each other, and then everything is happening naturally, materially through their expansion, so on and so forth, and they encode that way. Okay, but in the cases of direct encoding, they specifically have hands-on involvement in how a specific music video plays out, why it plays out the way it does, what exactly the lyrics are, why the release date is the date it is, so on and so forth. Okay, and they do this for various reasons. Now, there's a few particular cases they do this in, and that's what distinguishes direct encoding from indirect encoding. So yes, everything, period, altogether is indirectly encoded. Not only these three, everything in the material world is altogether. So this is the whole idea of remembering Krishna every single day, is we have to actually see Radha and Krishna in everything, literally 24/7. Okay? So, to refresh everybody on that one, now we're going to start up, let's see if everybody can see this without the gleam. I got to kind of angle it so the gleam isn't there, but I think I can pull this off. So, we're going to start it up first. Here we go. Okay. So the very first thing you'll notice that happened on this music video, I'm going to pause this again, hold on. There we go. So one of the first things that happens is the globe model crashes into the water. All right? This is going to happen 3 times, and as you know, in the Vedas and in Sanskrit and in any type of encoding or messaging, anything that happens specifically 3 times is telling us to pay especially close attention to it. Okay? So you'll see this globe model crash into the water 3 times, so pay attention to that. All right? That's referring to the globe model itself crashing into the waters of oblivion, in terms of people not accepting it anymore, people knowing it's false and bogus, so on and so forth. That's what's being shown. Okay? Now, we'll move on to the next part here. Okay, 9. So now, pay attention to this. 3 globes are shown 3 times, and it alternates with them showing 9 globes. Now, there are 9 islands of Bharata Varsha. All right? According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are specifically 9 islands of Bharata Varsha. Now, these 9 islands include our own. Ours is the 9th of the 9. Okay, so there's Bharata Varsha, and this includes India, Eurasia, North America, South. Everything within this little ice ring pond thing is just one of the islands of Bharata Varsha. Okay, there's 8 others, and that is specifically what's being referred to in this case. Okay. Now you'll notice they're actually holding globes, but not flat discs, and they're also having blinders on. So you'll see. Here we go. The reason they're holding globes with blinders on, and there's a lot of stuff it's passing through really quick. Okay, so those kids, let's see here. Let's get back to a scene with the kids where they're actually, okay, so 21, okay, we'll start here. So there's 9 globes that they're holding in their hands. They have blinders on, okay? They're in the shape of these androgynous kids. In other words, there's these kids basically that are females, but that are dressed in like kind of like almost male-ish garb. It's almost kind of like an androgynous type garb. But their blinders are over their eyes, black blinders, okay? They can see through them, but it's showing that they're looking through blinders. That's what's being shown here, okay? And they're holding globe models. So basically, people who are adhering to these globe models, they're looking at it through blinders, and at the same time, we're being shown that there's 9 islands of Bharata Varsha factually, but people aren't seeing this. They're actually, because they're adhering to these globe models, and you'll see this go on. And now, this part, there's 21 globes on top of the black Illuminati triangle, okay? There's 21 of those. So pay attention to that number. 7 times 3, so on and so forth. Hold on, here we go. Okay. Now, let's get back to it. Hope everybody's following me so far in terms of able to follow along with what's being shown. And the lyrics will also go into as well. Why the lyrics are what they are, and why she was inspired, the musician, to specifically say these types of lyrics. Now, once again, this encoding was done without the knowledge of the producers or the musician, as is usual with these types of things. They didn't know about this. They weren't specifically engaging in devotional service or anything like that. She encoded through them without their knowing, okay? Now, when she says specifically, at the beginning here, the lyrics. Let me pop this up. So basically, one of the things she says right off the get-go is, let's go to the beginning. Okay, the night falls down, I wait for you and you come around. All right, now this night, this is referring to the mode of ignorance. Shri Radha, in the 1,000 names of Shri Radha, she's referred to as the goddess of the night, specifically in the 1,000 names of Shri Radha. Please read this text, okay? Now, this is referring also to her expansion in the material world, and also on top of that, it's referring to the darkness that's descending over the material world regarding lack of knowledge of the actual shape of the earth and of her actual glories simultaneously. There's a lack of knowledge of both these things. So she looks for you and you come around. She's talking to the living entity, okay? She's talking to each one of you individually. So, and then she says right after this, and the world's alive with the sound of kids on the street outside. Now, these kids, they're referring to, like just before, in the previous music video, the Open the Heart one, the kids are referring to the, especially in this particular case actually, the innocent consciousness, okay? So the consciousness of innocence is always referred to as a child, okay? Child consciousness. It's also referring to immature consciousness regarding many different things, referring to devotional topics and also material topics. There's a widespread immaturity regarding all these types of deep topics throughout the world. Very much so an immaturity. And she's singing the sound of kids on the street outside, okay? Because she's referring to outside of the inner sanctum where all the actual truth and information is, okay? That's what she's talking about. And it's also referring to, on top of this, the temples, the inner sanctum of the temple room, the temple floors, when you're looking at the deities as well. So there's different things being referred to at the same time in the same thing, okay? Now, we're going to move on and get to the next part of it, okay? When you walk into the room, we pull me close and we start to move. We're spinning with the stars above. Now this guy in this, he's specifically symbolic of a very particular thing. You'll notice he has a black collar on. Now, most people immediately going and looking at this music video, they're immediately just going to look at it. Oh, that's just some mundane love story thing where just some guy is, you know, spinning around and kissing his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. Oh, it's totally mundane. Let's just, you know, not pay attention to it, not look into it further. That's what a lot of people are going to think when they see that. But this guy is actually symbolizing he has a black collar on. And you know what black collar is referring to? Black color is referring to artistic types, eccentric types, people who think outside the box, abstract thinkers. That's what black collar refers to, the term, okay? So she has this guy symbolically wearing the black collar, okay? Now, he's specifically wearing the black collar, and he's shown as a male form instead of a female form, because this is referring to... One moment, this phone I have to shut off, actually. But yes. Hold that thought for just a minute, okay? Okay, my apologies for that. So, yes. So basically, Shri Radha and her expansions, always remember this, please, my friends. Always remember this, that whenever you see a female form in an encoded video, okay? That's the main singer or the main central focus of the music video. That's referring to Shri Radha and all of her expansions from the top all the way down to the bottom. So it's referring to her. It's referring to her illusory expansions in terms of the material energy. And it's also referring to her Jivatma conditioned external expansions as well. All of them are being referred to at the same time, okay? Simultaneously. So understand this. And based on an individual's depth of vision into what's being shown, they will see that much further into Shri Radha's message, or they will see the externalized sensual messages only, okay? Or you will see both at the same time. It all depends on how deep into this you look and how far into this you can see, okay? Now this gets really interesting and trippy. Now she's specifically wearing purple. The color purple is referring to, let's see here, let's make sure everybody can hear who actually showed up. For whatever reason, I cannot seem to scroll down. Anyway, we'll just keep rolling. That's fine. See less. There we go. I'll answer all these questions a lot later, Bill Reinbeck. Thanks for bringing them up, though, and thanks for joining, Madi. Cool. Okay, I'll link below so we can click on it as you go along with your description. Yeah, that's great. No, not all videos with women in them. No. The specifically directly encoded ones in particular. Okay, remember, there's a distinction between directly encoded and indirectly encoded. Very important to remember. So, okay, we're going to move on. I'll answer all these extra questions and stuff later at the end of the video, and I guarantee you it will all make sense to you, okay? Why this stuff's being presented, why it's important, okay? That it's not just some random video that we're throwing stuff together on. This is very, very significant for all devotees to pay attention to, okay? Very significant. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste my time doing this, okay? Because the amount of accusations I've got from this stuff are just through the roof, ridiculous, just all over the place. You know, Sahajiya, this and that, blah, 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 just on and on and on. And I knew this would happen. That's why I waited 2 years to go into this stuff. Because I knew immediately people would start accusing me of this stuff without watching the material, without paying attention, and without having prolonged discussions with me on it. They would just assume and jump to stuff, okay? So here's the thing. In none of this, no encoding from Shri Radha will ever encourage anyone to engage in illicit sexual activities in the name of devotional service. No. Her messages inspire in brahmacharya, following the 4 regular principles, and engaging in daily Harinama Sankirtana. That is what happens when you see these music videos and you see her encoding in them. You are inspired in those things. And if you're not, that means you're only seeing the externalized mundane meanings, period. That's why you get inspired in illicit sex, sensual stuff. Because someone who does that and gets more lustful or whatever from watching this, that means they're absorbed in the externalized meaning only, and they can't see the actual encoding. That's what happens, all right? So for the people who can't see the encoding, it's probably best that they don't watch this stuff and look into it, because they won't be able to grasp it anyway, okay? So, but if you can, this will help you majorly in your devotional service, I guarantee it, and it will very much uplift you, with or without these videos, either way, because the message is the same. But, okay, anyway, I ramble on. So purple. She's wearing the color purple because purple signifies royalty, all right? Signifies also Saturn. So in the past, the Roman emperors were the only, a certain time in history, the Roman emperors were the only guys allowed to wear the purple color, okay? And the Phoenicians, they got a lot of wealth generated from this because purple also represented the worship of Saturn, which the Phoenicians worshipped. Okay, and he had different names in their specific belief system, but Saturn is El, in other words, or and where we get the word Elohim from and stuff. So the being Saturn, who is Shani in Sanskrit, so on and so forth, he was represented by purple amongst the Phoenicians and later Romans, so on and so forth. So that signifies royalty, hierarchy, elitism, officiality, rule, all that type of stuff. So she's wearing purple here. This is indicating the conception of Shri Radha herself, and also her perverted reflections in the material world. So first off, it's referring to Radha in her function as the goddess, okay? Just like with Sri Krishna, his official function is that of God, which is his secondary function. So this also is Shri Radha's secondary function as the supreme goddess, okay? Not her main function, not her primary function, secondary, okay? So what happens, you'll see the top of the part sure starts to slip down a little bit, and that signifies something very significant also. Now we're going to move forward. So that's what that represents, the purple, and why she's wearing that color. And the spinning around, see? Now look, okay, check this out. There's a lot of stuff that's okay. Now she's behind a cage in this one. What you saw, what skipped past was them laying on the ground next to each other, and they were moving the globe models back and forth, okay? So they were going like this, laying on the ground. What that's signifying is the devotees trying to, two things: get the full accurate map of the 9 islands of Bharata Varsha beyond the Antarctic ice ring, and outside of devotional communities, people still juggling, and even inside devotional communities, people still juggling with this globe model. So basically, people are starting to get the flat earth understanding based on the Vedas, but they're still juggling around with the globe model, and people who have this idea. This is what she's showing to us, okay, regarding this year exactly, and the years to come very soon. So 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. Okay, and the 2021 is related to those 21 globes also. Make no mistake, that's part of that symbolism. Okay, now she's standing behind a cage. Look, and remember we just talked about the officiality, the official function, and all that type of stuff. Now she's wearing a suit, like a business type suit, right? And she's behind a grid. Now that's indicative of the perception of Shri Radha in only awe and reverence only, being a block to actually understanding what she really wants us to understand about her, okay? And also, it's referring to all sorts of other things on the mundane plane as well, in terms of like, you know, so many other, but the mundane stuff is not what we're interested in. You know, there are other mundane meanings, but that's not important, because what's important is the devotional message that's actually important here, okay? Okay, and then that spinning around, see? They're just all spinning around in circles with this whole globe idea. And she's specifically saying, we'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. So she alternates back and forth between this stuff. Now, in devotional service, what do we know for a fact? Now, heaven in this case, she's not referring to the heavenly planet. She's talking about paradise, Goloka Vrindavan, heaven in the uppercase H. All right? So heaven in the uppercase sense is referring to Goloka Vrindavana, Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. Now, we know that Gokula, on earth, Vrindavana, is literally Goloka Vrindavana on earth. Literally. So, paradise, Goloka Vrindavana, is literally a place on earth also. Okay? And this is what she's signifying here, and why she's saying these lyrics. Now see, still behind the grid, still behind this veil thing, right? Now she's behind this grid and veil, so Shri Radha's true mission, what she wants for us in our relationship with her, in terms of devotional service, coincides with people spinning around with this globe model idea and all these philosophical ideas combinedly spinning around in circles, okay? Basically getting nowhere. Everybody's just spinning around with the globe model and with misconceptions regarding her glories, her form, her pastimes, etc. Okay? Next part. See? There they are. The 9 islands of Bharata Varsha. Now you'll notice every time this happens, it happens at least 3 times with all these things. So the globe crashes into the water 3 times, the beginning of the video. The 9 islands of Bharata Varsha are shown 3 times. 3 times 3, 3, 3. 3 times 3 is flashed again, and then 666 will also be flashed in this as well. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, I'll show, that 666 is referring to Goloka and so many others. Like I'm telling you people, this, my friends, there's a lot here. Okay, a lot here. All right. Now this is significant too. She's walking back. She said, "When I feel alone, I reach for you, and you bring me home." Let me see what that. When I'm lost at sea. Okay, the thing I actually skipped on, this is another significant part. Now, you'll notice that the Saturn stuff's gone now. The purple thing she was wearing on the sides is gone, and now the shoulders are exposed. Okay? The shoulders being exposed is referring to intimate contemplations, okay, on the Madhurya level. So the 5 Madhurya rasas, Parakiya, parenthood, friendship, master servant, and neutrality in Goloka Vrindavana, they're all Madhurya rasas, yes, not only Parakiya. It's all 5 are Madhurya rasas. That's what's being referred to here. So the more intimate rasas, the more intimate understanding, being revealed, being exposed. But she's walking back and forth. Now, what is she walking back and forth towards? She's walking back and forth towards this corner. Now, you'll notice in the beginning of the music video, she started off in the corner. That corner is representing being boxed into a corner, okay? Shri Radha being sidelined in teaching, in preaching, in discussions, and in devotional philosophy. Her being sidelined is symbolized in this video by her standing, at first, in the corner, okay? But now, check it out. She's walking out of the corner, and then she keeps going back to the corner and then walking out of it, basically like testing the waters, okay? And you'll notice she's wearing purple now over the heart area, okay? This is what we need to pay attention to, okay? So where the heart, the feelings, the actual deep reciprocatory emotional things that are genuine emotional things, not just sentimental sahajya emotional things, like legitimate emotional meditations are what's being emphasized now and what she wants us to pay attention to, okay? Now the black, she's wearing black instead of purple now because black is referring to 2 things. Whenever you see black, it's always referring to 2 different things in almost every case. It's referring to number 1, the primary meaning is referring to Krishna, okay? Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his relationship to Shri Radha. So notice that the lighter color is on top, darker is at the bottom. Also, it's referring to Saturn, once again. And it's also referring to the Saturnian conceptions, which are hierarchical, domineering, tyrannical conceptions of God in relationship to us. Now you see those ideas are beneath her now, okay? Now she herself is exposed above them. The royal Saturn color now is where her heart is, all right? Moving on. And what she sings here is very significant too in relationship to this, as she's moving back and forth. She's being sidelined again. So here's what's happening now, as this is playing out. Devotees worldwide, they're going back and forth between, okay, sidelining Shri Radha again, bunching her back into a corner. She's only the internal potency of Krishna. She's to the side. She's this and that. Bringing her out, like emphasizing her glories a little bit again, bunching her back into the corner, emphasizing her glories, bunching her into the corner again. See, it's this back and forth that's going on in devotional communities worldwide. Nobody's actually, or I say until now, until these discussions, people, and until I enter Prabhu, people weren't actually properly glorifying Shri Radha, and they weren't actually emphasizing her actual glories and position. They were just kind of sidelining her this back and forth. Okay, we'll glorify her to a certain degree, then we'll bunch her back in the corner again. We'll glorify her some more, bunch her in the corner. That's what's been going on. Okay, and this is easily observable. You know, you can just look at this in your own life and the way people around you behave and talk when they discuss her. Okay, very easy to understand. Hear your voice and it carries me. Now she hears the voice. She hears Harinama Sankirtana. Now Krishna, this is very specific. Radha and Krishna both make this clear. Now she's in the corner again. Check this out. So Radha and Krishna make this very specific statement in the scriptures. Krishna specifically says, I am found, I'm not in Goloka, I am not in all these other places, and then he specifically says, I am found where the devotees are together chanting my glories. Okay? That is where I am. So when she's saying, I hear your voice and it carries me, she's talking about Harinama Sankirtana. She's talking about us chanting her names and Krishna's names, and that being what carries her. Now, just before this, she said, when I'm lost at sea, I think she said, I hear your voice and it carries me, but along those lines. But when the sea is referring to, the sea is always symbolic of the nations, the public, the vast worldwide communication networks, okay? So the flow of money, the flow of information, the flow of exchange, that's what she's talking about when she says the sea, when I'm lost at sea. So, very significant. So was that exactly at 106 to 108 where it says, you lift me up in the wave of love? Because that is extremely significant, actually. If that time, I didn't even notice that, actually, specifically until you pointed that out. The connotation of that. Okay, very cool. So, yeah, Bill Reinbeck mentioned at 108, she says, you lift me up in the wave of love between 106 and 108. That's very significant. Wow, okay. That's a big thing to pay attention to, too. So, yes, then this ties right into this. So the sea is always referring to basically all the information about Shri Radha that's being spread throughout the world now. people talking about her, people discussing her expansions, all this stuff. That's the sea that she's talking about. When I'm lost at sea, okay? In other words, she's lost in this huge, vast ocean of information people are talking about and, regarding her and discussing and glorifying her and all this stuff. It's a big sea of stuff being said, all right? Now, when she says, when I'm lost at sea, she's talking about she's basically lost in translation in the midst of all these people saying so many things about her, but practically nobody's actually teaching the correct information about her or talking about her correctly in terms of her actual relationship with Krishna, so on and so forth. Okay, the dynamic of that. It's not actually happening. It's like stuff's being said, but it's like all being lost in this big mass of just information that seems contradictory, but cross-contradictory and stuff, right? Okay, so now she's back into the corner again. Now check this out. This is interesting. Now what she starts singing, check this out. This is very interesting again. See, now that once this stuff about Shri Radha is now being brought to the public, okay, will be brought to the public, there will be a time frame where we are going to all face a lot of backlash in terms of discussing her, glorifying her, so on and so forth. This is her and us backed into the corner, okay? The symbolic corner of basically the attempt of others to sideline her once again, okay? Now she's wearing the purple again, but check it out. So the purple is referring to people's conception of her. They're trying to relegate her to the supreme goddess as her main primary function, when her actual deeper function is intimacy, love, and affection for each individual living entity and Krishna. Okay, so she's exposing herself, showing herself above that conception and how that perception's falling off, but that she still is able to function in that role also as well. Now check this out. We're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Right? Now what is the miracle of living? This song was done in 1987. In this world, we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living, is what she says. Exactly. Experiencing the waves of ecstasy when Krishna lifts her up. Yes. Thank you for your input, Bill Reinbeck. I appreciate this in this video. It's going to help a lot. So you can definitely see these things well, and I very much appreciate that. So from the right perspective too. So what's going on is, lift me up in the wave of love, and then basically, let's see, she's saying here. Okay, she says, baby, I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. Now, first off, let's see. Okay, in this world, we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. So in 1987, that's 10 years after Srila Prabhupada left his body. And that's an exact year after Ayendra Prabhu started the 24-hour Harinama Sankirtana in the Krishna Balaram Mandir. Now, the song she encoded called Open Your Heart was in direct response to Ayendra Prabhu's inauguration of 24-hour Harinama Sankirtana. That was one of the reasons she encoded that particular song, okay? Because he started properly glorifying her in his preaching, in his teaching, and he actually started the Yuga Dharma up again, correctly, and that pleased her. Therefore, she wanted to give Sukriti to the whole world, and that's what she did through that song, okay? The ones who weren't willing or interested in hearing directly Harinama Sankirtana, most people in the world have gotten at least one chance to hear the song Open Your Heart by Madonna on the radio somewhere randomly throughout their life, and they're getting Sukriti from Shri Radha's encoded message to them. And she's wanting to do this so that everyone gets the benefit of Harinama Sankirtana extended even beyond the direct Harinama Sankirtana, okay? That's why she did that. Now, what she's saying, right, we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living, of course, because before Krishna consciousness, before the understanding of Shri Radha's glories and love, even within Krishna consciousness, so it took about 10 years to get to this point for Ayendra Prabhu to start talking about this, did people actually understand the miracle of life itself? Okay, so life in divine ecstasy, divine loving ecstasy with Radha and Krishna eternally and Lord Chaitanya, that was only started to be understood in 1986, 1987, when correct preaching started happening, okay, from the lips of Srila Ayendra Prabhu. Very important. All right, now, the next phase, let's go into this. Oh, my bad. Okay, we'll go back here. Not afraid anymore. Look, she's walking out of the corner. And then the globe model crashes again. And then she says, "Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth?" So what was she afraid of? Okay? I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. What was she afraid of? Well, she was afraid of... yes, exactly. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. It's helping me very much, having it typed up like that. So she was afraid of, on our behalf, Shri Radha was afraid for us, the devotees on our behalf, who are trying to glorify her properly, show her love and affection, and so many other things, because she has a very motherly consciousness towards each living entity, right? No matter what the rasa is. So her fear isn't so much fear for herself. I was afraid, but I'm not afraid anymore. So she was afraid basically to show herself or display herself openly like this, or to reveal these things in those particular years directly, because she knew that pretty much everyone filling ISKCON, everyone filling the Ritvik Sampradaya groups, and everyone everywhere else who had anything to do with Shri Radha was either one of two things. They were either teaching deviant things completely and going the Sahajya route, or they were not dealing with her at all, sidelining her, teaching hierarchical ideas of Krishna, and treating the sincere loving devotees very cruelly. That's what was going on. And she knew that would increase if she openly started to reveal this more at that exact time, out in the open, okay? So she's more so afraid for the devotees in that case, and that's what's really going on. But now she's not afraid anymore, because now the message is now being translated and spread that she's always wanted to have done since 1986, 1987, okay? It's taken this long to get here. And this is why the release date of this song lines up exactly with Shri Radha's appearance day this year and next year and the year after that, okay? There's no coincidences there, all right? Now, here's the thing. She's asking us, whenever the word baby is being said in this Encoda song, it's referring to the living entity, okay? Once again, the completely innocent childlike consciousness, one must be exactly like a baby crying for his mother to chant the holy name offenselessly. So when she says baby, do you know what that's worth? She's asking us, do we actually know what this is worth? Do we? Do we know what her actual glories are worth? Do we know what Harinama Sankirtana is worth? Do we know what the Flat Earth Map is worth? Do we know what all these things are worth? Okay? Do we? And then we have to question ourselves, do we actually know what this is worth? Do we? Or do we not? Right? Do we appreciate this fact and these things, or do we not appreciate these things? Okay? So ask yourself that question. They say in heaven, love comes first. Heaven is a place on earth. And look, you'll notice how in that previous scene they were running with the globe model, but they weren't getting anywhere. In other words, they were moving their feet with their blinders on as children, okay, immature regarding this information, maps and things, and they were running with blinders on, but they weren't moving forward. They weren't. They were just staying in one place, just moving their feet. That's all. So basically just saying things about the globe model, saying things about the flat earth, while at the same time not actually glorifying Shri Radha, not actually emphasizing her truth. So therefore, she isn't revealing the full flat earth map yet, because people aren't properly glorifying her yet, okay? And she indirectly encodes because she doesn't directly, openly like to say what her actual position is, just out in the public, out in the open. She wants this to be left to devotees to discuss and to glorify her this way. Because Krishna is factually the upfront supreme, she's the hidden supreme. And she always keeps herself the hidden supreme, eternally, all right? That's why it has to be done between devotees, discussed, so on and so forth. She hints at it for us, for our benefit, but we have to pick up on it ourselves, individually, okay? You have to pick up on her message. Okay? Now, there goes the black collar again. The black collar is symbolizing all the different individuals. Now, here's the veil thing. Hold on. There we go. Okay, now the black collar, this individual here is symbolizing multiple different things all at one time. Okay? The first highest level of symbolism is referring to the relationship between Radha and Krishna. Yes, because of the black, that's what's being referred to. The secondary level of symbolism is referring to all the various devotees collectively. Okay? Here we go. All the devotees collectively who are the black collars. So the artistic types, the eccentric thinkers, the devotees who think outside the box on all this type of stuff. Those who like to take steps further in terms of looking into things, okay, instead of jumping to conclusions. These are the black collars. So you, if you're watching this video, you are a black collar. You are one of the individuals symbolized by this character in this video, okay? And we're seeing behind the veil. Now, what's this interesting? Because this veil thing is very significant. The veil has to do with the hiddenness regarding the actual truth and information about her. So we're seeing through the veil. We, watching the music video, are seeing through the veil, okay? The black collars are now intimately interacting with Radha and Krishna on the internal level. Now, please don't mistakenly think that this means, no, this does not mean having sex with a girlfriend or wife on the material plane equals having intimate intercourse with Radha and Krishna. No, that's not what's being referred to. What is being referred to is the loving, intimate dynamic between Radha and Krishna and the living beings is what's being symbolized. They're not referring to you having intercourse with people materially and having that passed off as devotion. No, this is what a lot of people assume when I present these music videos. They assume that's what I'm talking about or trying to get across. No, that is not. And because they don't watch these presentations, they skip over that part and they simply rot in their assumptions that they've had without actually asking further information. Okay, so here's the thing: the veil is nice. Look at the colors too. The blue, the black, and the blue. Once again, the blue and black are significant in terms of the colorations here. That's referring to the Radha Krishna love dynamic. That is what it's referring to. Okay, and referring to the ones who are the black colors being behind the veil with Radha and Krishna. Okay, already. Whereas those from outside are looking in through the veil, but now can see through the veil at least. But what are the ones looking through the veil seeing? The ones looking through the veil are seeing mundane, temporal, externalized sexual interactions. This is what the assumers are seeing. Okay? And this is what they will continue to see if they do not talk to us more or ask us further about what we're actually talking about. Okay? So this is what the assumers see. They see through the veil somewhat, but they don't see what's actually going on beyond the veil. Okay? Now look, 3 times these heads lift up, and they say heaven each time they lift their heads up. 666. Okay? It's referring to 2 different things. See, behind the veil again, the symbolisms are both connected. Now 666, this is very significant why these alternated, and then the globe model crashing. Okay? So the globe model alternated with the veil, the black collars interacting with Radha and Krishna, and the 666 3 times. The 666 triple times, that's referring to the star of Goloka. So the 666, that's actually the number of the 6-pointed star in Goloka Vrindavan at the dead center where the intimate pastimes between Radha and Krishna take place. Okay? This is a fact. This is in the Shastras. This is in the devotional literatures. So 666 is specifically referring to the Goloka, and when it's referring to the number of the beast, the Antichrist, the New World Order, that's referring to the perverted reflection in this world that's being pushed by the Asuras, which is the 666 number referring to personal sensual indulgence and sex indulgence as the main central goal of life in the material world, right? So in this video, both encodings are contained, Goloka Vrindavana and the perverted reflection of Goloka in this world, okay? Both at the same time are being encoded and shown to us, all right? So 666 right there is a very significant and sacred number in the original sense. In the perversion and inversion of that, it's the foul number, which is used by the cult of Saturn, by the Judaic stuff. They use this a lot. The Jesuits, all sorts of groups, the syncretic Brahmavadis. So many groups use this 6-pointed star, but in most cases it's referring to, they are referring to matter being the perverted reflection of transcendence. Make no mistake about it. But they're specifically focused on the perverted version of it, whereas we as devotees need to be focused on the pure version of the 6-pointed star. Okay? Yep, the background color changes to blue too. Exactly. And look, there goes the sweater back on with the royalty. She was back in the corner again, right? Playing that role. Now she dropped it again. Happy. See, here's what's interesting about this. This dynamic is showing that Radha and Krishna, the living entities, and husbands and wives, proper grahastas, everyone together collectively is happy. Okay, genuinely happy and spontaneously loving and affectionate towards each other. Even beyond all the on-paper stuff, the philosophical stuff, that's important, yes. But beyond that, people are now interacting freely, now that they've understood the glories of Shri Radha, and now they have the actual flat earth map, and now that the world's taking to the Vedas because they have the flat earth map accurately, the other 9 islands revealed to us by Shri Radha, and her glories being revealed all together at once. Now devotees, specifically the black collars, are happy in their devotional service. And they're very joyful and spontaneous now in their devotional activities. All right? And look, they're still spinning around those 6 plus. Now we get shown the 21 globes again on the black Illuminati floor, which is signifying the hierarchical structure that the globe model keeps over the world. Okay? And the number 21 is correlating with many different things. One of the things it's correlating with is the year 2021. It's also correlating with 7 times 3, which is referring to the many things. It's referring to the revealing of the Earth map in those 3 oceans beyond the saltwater ocean. And then there's actually 7 of them. There's 7 oceans altogether, but it's referring to the revealing of the map of those first 3, and then the ones beyond it. And then, of course, there's 14 planetary systems, so 7 and 7, right? And then 7 is always referring to water. So she's talking about the sea before, the sea symbolism, okay? The sea references. The public, the information, all this other stuff. So 7 times 3 is referring to that. Once again, the flow of information, so on and so forth, is being controlled by this dark, florid Illuminati hierarchy, which has all these 21 different globe models on top. All right? That's what's happening today, currently still, right? But now, see, the devotees, they've gotten to the point where they're beyond that bogus model. They're now appreciating the glories of Shri Radha and actually showing love and affection to each other. And each individually, they're igniting their relationships with Radha and Krishna on a personal level. Every individual, okay? Freed from the hierarchy. See? Things are still spinning around. They're still adhering to these old models and stuff. It's crashed into the water again and again. But the devotees are now at this point beyond it, basically. And see, look, now at the end, they're off to the right side, okay? They're aloof from and off to the right side of all these models. In other words, they're in the right. So the devotees who wear the black collars, trying to spontaneously love Radha and Krishna, they're in the right. And that's what's being shown at the end there. Okay? And they're basically above and aloof from the hierarchical Saturnian globe model, which the whole world was still following. Right? So this is what's being signified here. And that was the end of the video. So yeah. And there's a lot more to it. There's like parts and things I skipped over too in the video. I didn't even cover it all, but you guys get the gist of it. That's the gist of what's being shown there. And so, yes, I hope you now feel inspired as I was when I first came across this. So now I want to end this video by covering the history of how I came across this, how it was made clear to me that this was directly encoded and not just indirectly encoded, like every music video in the world is indirectly encoded. Everything is. But how I was able to find that this was directly encoded. Okay? So, well, first off, the time frame. I actually came across this part of it recently. I had known about this music video and the other one, Open Your Heart, 2 years ago, okay, 2016. I started talking about it 2 years ago. I'd posted some stuff about both of them, about this stuff being revealed, so on and so forth. But I didn't really have the wherewithal to actually put a video up on it yet, and for whatever reason in my gut, I just didn't feel like it was right to put a video up on them quite yet at that time. I think the main reason was because I wanted the time frame for these things that she's showing us to play out to be a shorter time frame, instead of like, okay, I posted 2 years later, and then people wait an entire 2 years for this stuff to start playing out in front of their eyes. I was just like, no, they'll do it later so that actually they'll see the stuff playing out faster in front of their eyes, you know, based off the encoding. So, so the thing is like this. So in 1986, her response to Ayendra Prabhu was in that Open Your Heart video. She did it without the knowledge of the producers or the musician, Madonna herself. And I explained that in the other video. If you want more in depth on that, go watch that video. I go really in depth on what the encoding was there, okay, specifically. And but in this particular case, I was studying really in depth about the flat Earth maps, right? And I was praying to Shri Radha and Shri Krishna to reveal to me, but especially to Shri Radha, to reveal to me the full flat Earth map and reveal to me when the full accurate map would be revealed. Okay, and what she induced in me was actually she ended up leading me to watch that particular music video and listen to it. And then when I saw what was actually in it, what was actually being said and stuff, relating to this time frame of when I was praying these things to her, right? I noticed all these things. I was like, wait, there's the 9 islands, there's the 666, there's the globe model crashing into the water, there's all these different things. There's her being backed into a corner, coming out, because I was fighting against the Radharani being sidelined stuff in 2016 also. It was still going on even back then. So all of these things were vivid in my consciousness, what was happening. So she revealed to me this particular music video, and then recently, this is what really put the nail in the transcendental coffin for me, if there is such a thing. I don't know what other way to term it, but this is the final nail into the transcendental boat. There you go. Was that, you know, naturally I tend to like listening to, you know, pleasant, soothing music while I'm working or while I'm, you know, researching or something like that. And when I was looking into this, I prayed to Shri Radha specifically because I got so much backlash immediately. I knew it would happen. People was, oh, you're a Prakrita Sahajya. You're basically just assuming that Radharani is encoding things, and you're just trying to devotionalize whatever music video you feel like devotionalizing, which isn't true, but that's what people were saying and claiming. And so basically it got to the point where I was like, you know what, Radha, I want to make sure, because I knew it was true, but I needed like the extra confirmation. I need to make sure and get further 100% like specification from you that this is actually your direct encoding, as it completely seems to be to me, and not just my speculations on it. So I prayed specifically on this point, actually, because I didn't want to mislead devotees by my mental speculations being passed off as devotion or something like that, okay? I wanted to make sure that this is directly encoded and not just like every other song that's indirectly encoded by them, okay? I wanted to know for sure that they actually, and for them to confirm to me, they actually put their hands into this song, how it played out, and were like consciously active in what lyrics were being sung, what was being shown when, so on and so forth, and what the message was and the timing, okay? And sure enough, when I was praying like this and thinking about this, I was to the point where I was like, man, should I even go on with these topics? Should I even keep doing these music videos? You know, I got this really dreaded gut feeling in, you know, I was like, because I knew so many people would just look at me like just really weird for this. And I was like, but I have to reveal this to the world. So what happened was a music video popped up by the chorus called Runaway. Now this is encoded to me personally, yes. So I would say it's classified as an indirectly encoded song for the world, but they encode specifically for certain people also certain things as well in the world. But the point is that particular song played, and the very first lyric that was said right after I had prayed this to Shri Radha was, "Say it's true." Immediately, those were the first three words that were said. She said, "Say it's true, me and you, nothing like me and you. Please tell me you feel it too." And I was like, holy crap, that's her message to every single living entity and me right here, and the answer to this final clarification I needed. The timing was exact, okay? So that really put it together for me. And here's the thing, here's what's really trippy about this. Right as that music played, okay? Immediately as that music played that said, "Say it's true," that is exactly the timing that I had just realized. I was looking at Drik Panchang on this website and stuff, that the release date of this song in 1987 lines up exactly with Shri Radha's appearance day this year. So depending on what part of the world you're in, her appearance day actually ends on 2018. It happens on 2016, her appearance day happens on September 16th, 17th, and 18th this year, okay? But her appearance day specifically ends this year on the 18th in New Zealand at that far part of the world, past the 12 a.m. on the 18th. Now this is really interesting because next year her appearance date is going to move closer because it was September 1st back in 1987. So her appearance date lines up with the release date of this song, her appearance date this year, immediately with that lyric playing into my ear that says, "Say it's true," okay? In answer to my prayer, all at the same time. These things happened all together. I kid you not, and I'm not exaggerating, this actually took place. So I was like, well, you know, how much more evidence could I possibly ask for that this is actually like legitimate? You know what I'm saying? Like along the right lines. So therefore, I went further into it and was like, okay, I got to look into this further now because this music video is obviously definitely directly encoded by them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have responded like that in that timing. And they wouldn't have arranged that the music video was released exactly on her appearance day either. A video referring to Shri Radha and to the Flat Earth and all these other things that are going to be revealed at the same time frame in September, starting in September onwards. It was a no-brainer to me. It was like, okay, obviously that's what's being shown here, and obviously this is what you want shown to the world, shown to devotees, especially for their upliftment. Okay, I was like, all right, I'll accept the backlash. I have to accept it, you know, even if everybody in the entire world accuses me of it. People who have common sense and vision can see the symbolism. They can see the encoding, you know, and you can see the layers of it. It's not rocket science. You can see it. You know, when we just went through, that's this whole video is about, to show it, what's actually there, you know. But yeah, I realized recently, like a lot of people, there's been a lot of like dwindling of people contacting me, right, and staying in touch. And I know it's connected to this stuff a lot. I know it is because I know exactly what's going on in a lot of people's heads. What's going on, aside from, you know, people having busy lives and stuff, is a lot of people are thinking like, oh, Kamadev Das, he's basically just he's now going to mental speculation mode, and now he's really fixating on all these speculative things and stuff like that. Well, it's actually not what's going on. I'm actually basically just buckling down and being like, okay, well, I have to show this to the world now and accept the result, whatever may come. You know what I'm saying? So all this is to prove the flat Earth. Well, the Earth is actually flat and circular, and this is actually Shri Radha actually telling us that the revealing of the actual map of the flat circular Earth and all the other 9 islands, the accurate map, will be gradually revealed this year and onwards, along with and perfectly coinciding with her actual glories being spread, discussed, preached, sung, so on and so forth, for the first time since Ayanta Prabhu actually started his activities, and since Ayanta Prabhu left the planet and returned to Goloka, Vrindavana. Okay. Hare Krishna, my friend. There's someone on here, and I looks like it's in Russian or something, or maybe a different language, but I can't actually. Unfortunately, I don't read any languages aside from English and Sanskrit, or I'm not familiar with any others. So I don't know if there's a translator or something. But good to have you with us, whoever you are. I just hope that statement is something kind and affectionate and loving, which I assume it probably is. It's from a devotee. But yeah. So. All right, so I hope that makes sense now. And then now, what's interesting about this too, this is really trippy, and I'm going to have Robin Cloud come on here later and verify this too, because when the when this is being discussed actually, and also in the previous news, there was a video that was revealed to him, okay, a music video that's by Block Party called "The Love Within." Now he said he sent a message to me and he said, "I think I found a song that's encoded." And I was like, okay, well, we'll take a look at it. We'll make sure it meets all the criteria and stuff, because there is a very stringent criteria to prove that a song's encoded directly by Radha and Krishna. So here's the thing. Anything in the world, everything in the world already is indirectly encoded, okay? Some things are directly encoded by them, but then there's only certain things that can be proven to be directly encoded by them, okay? And that's what I was talking about. So if you're looking at a music video or something, there's a way to prove that it's directly encoded by them, okay? Whereas something may be directly encoded but might not be provable in a public forum to be so. Okay, this is a very important point to remember. So these 3 videos I've shown are provably encoded, whereas there's a lot of other music videos that I can see are encoded personally, but I don't present them because I can't prove externally to other people in the criteria meeting manner that they are encoded. Okay, even though I know they're directly encoded. So if you want to talk to me about a lot of these other videos I know about, please do so. But I don't publicly present those ones because I can't prove them publicly, even though I inherently know they're directly encoded to me and to others. Okay, so this is the thing to remember. It's not just, okay, there's a music video, I see something in it and therefore it's directly encoded. Well, no, that's indirect encoding. It's like, okay, it might be direct encoding, but you have to be able to prove it. Like it has to meet the criteria. It has to line up with pure devotees' appearances, pastimes. The devotional message has to be very specific. The effect of the message after watching the song, seeing the message, has to be very specific. Okay, in terms of uplifting devotees in very particular ways. Inspiration in Harinama Sankirtana, specifically following brahmacharya, so on and so forth. The results actually have to line up with one who sees the encoding. Okay, so many things, and I did many posts on this, but I'll post a document on this video once it's on YouTube underneath the criteria for proving a directly encoded song. Okay, beyond any shadow of a doubt. So in those cases, for it to be provable, the lyrics and the music video, if there is one, have to both line up in terms of the symbolism in both the lyrics and the music video. Okay, and it has to be very clearly, specifically referring to something regarding devotional service or principles. Okay, which is uplifting. All right. Because if it's not, it can be referred to as either an indirect song or a directly encoded song that isn't provable to be so. Okay. So, well, here's the thing. That's my situation irregardless. I'm inspired in brahmacharya and celibacy by these things, yes. But my personal issue is still that issue. Just because I openly talk about it. Most people are in the same situation as me anyway, they just don't openly discuss it. That's really what's going on. So, or in a similar situation to me. I just discuss it and I joke about it because it makes me laugh, you know. I mean, it's just, getting it off my chest helps me not be as bothered or disturbed by it, you know. But but like I said, that has to do with my perverted reflection of my relationship with Radha and Krishna in the material world, my lust and all this other stuff. That's what that's related to. But it doesn't interfere with my devotional enthusiasm, no. So it's a good question, though, and a lot of people do ask that. It's a good thing to ask because, well, here's the thing. So I personally was enthused in Daily Harinama Sankirtana by the Open Your Heart music video. Once I actually fully saw the encoding and it really hit me and dawned on me, I immediately have been doing Daily Harinama Sankirtana ever since then, actually. So when I told people this will inspire you in Daily Harinama Sankirtana, that is what happened with me, actually. So what I told others actually happened to me, which is very interesting. But what I was saying with this video that Robin Cloud came across, we looked at it and we looked into it. Sure enough, the timing that it was revealed to him was when we were actually discussing these topics. Me and Robin, I was posting stuff about people scoffing at this stuff and, me being tired of people scoffing and sarcastic without looking into the information. And during that time frame, this video was actually revealed to him on his end of the world. And so I looked into it. I was always very cautious, specific on these things, not just to accept anything immediately without looking into it. So I looked at it, and I was like, yep, there it is. There's that symbol. There's this symbol. And then we watched the whole music video, and it was so clear. It was so obvious what the message was. The lyrics, the timing, the 108 time frame, what exactly played out there, all of it, So, yeah. He said the God vibration emanates exactly at 108, and there were so many other symbols right at that time frame in the music video. So many. All at the same time. And then brings us up towards her, specifically, was said in that music video. So when I saw that, that was the final nail in the transcendental boat for me. When I saw that, I was like, yep, there it is. And so we posted that as the third directly encoded song that we could prove was so, right? Because it's specifically referring to Harinama Sankirtana, individual devotees throughout the world engaging in it, starting it up, right? And that's why the music and sounds of the music video are like that and laid out, showing that basically devotees, a lot of the playing might be off key, right? Starting up, going quiet, going loud, and people dancing individually everywhere, right? Because this is how it starts. This is how our movement is starting, right? Or I should say the next phase of Lord Chaitanya's movement is starting, where devotees all throughout the world individually dancing and chanting wherever they're at, without help, without support, just their own bodies, their own voices, right? That's what's being shown in this third video, which we will cover very soon, if not next week, one of the weeks very soon afterwards. So, yeah. So, yeah, the masturbation porn addiction issue, that's been something I've had since I was 12. It's been continual, ongoing. It hasn't changed. In the sense of me not having the issue. Basically, yes, I've had spurts of being able to practice brahmacharya. Oh, hi, that's what it says. Nice, wonderful. I've had time frames of being able to practice brahmacharya, yes, celibacy. And it's always been related to these types of things, which is really interesting, like these reciprocations, certain music videos, certain things that have happened in my life, popping. Now, check this out. 2017, last year, I kid you not, on Shri Radha's exact appearance day, I was freed from $2,500 worth of debt by someone bumping into the back of my car and my insurance taking care of it. And I was praying to her, and what had happened just before that was there's this whole cuckold thing going on throughout the world right now, right? And basically, I was being requested to function as this male bull character or stallion or whatever, and then this guy wanted me to have intercourse with his wife, right? And they were like really adamant about this. Like he was really wanting me to have intercourse with his wife, and he was almost going to the point of willing to pay me, but I was like, no, that's like illegal, that's immoral and stuff. And I told him, I was like, you know what? I'm going into a phase of brahmacharya right now. I really need to stop like doing anything to do with that, like masturbation or thinking about intercourse or anything altogether. I was like, I need to stop doing that. And sure enough, I refused that. Like, so I had this opportunity literally had it in front of my lap. And I specifically refused it because I wanted to please Shri Radha specifically. And I wanted to focus on my relationship with her and not get absorbed in that stuff. And sure enough, what happened? I prayed that please free me from this debt some way, somehow. And then exactly those two things coincided. So I refused the sex and I prayed to her for help on that financial, so that I could focus on my devotional service with peace of mind more. The very next day, I kid you not, she freed me from $2,500 worth of debt on her exact appearance day. And it was finalized on Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. Okay? So this stuff doesn't just happen. You know, these types of reciprocations aren't just like random occurrences. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff's specific. That's reciprocation. So this year, her appearance day in September of this year will be very interesting. There's always really interesting, wonderful things that happen in my life during her appearance day. Naturally, right? Because she cares for each one of us, all living entities, and especially the ones trying to show her love and affection and glorify her properly in her relationship with Krishna. It's because Krishna is specifically pleased by this, very much so. That's why we feel so enlivened when we do this. right? It's because Krishna likes us to glorify Shri Radha and praise her and so on and so forth. He likes each of us to do this. When we do this, it pleases him the most, more than anything else, right? So, so yeah, about an hour in, got 3 viewers now. Looked like for a huge chunk of time there was only like 1 person viewing, so I'd encourage everyone to go back, watch the whole thing all the way through. Please don't jump to conclusions. Please watch all the material, everything presented as a whole, and then it will all make sense, okay? Because if somebody just comes in randomly or somewhere and they watch like one little piece or something, I'll be pointing at the video, oh, this is representing Shri Radha. They'll be like, oh, immediately Sahaji. He's saying that a mundane female with flesh and blood is representing Shri Radha. It's like, no, that's not exactly what I'm saying. It's because you're not watching the whole thing that you're assuming a lot of this stuff, right? So, in other words, it's very important. When it comes to devotional topics, spiritual topics, all these other things, we need to look really, really deep into all of them and understand them on a very inherent level, even beyond the intellectual level. So we need to understand them on the soul level, okay, which is within the realm of Shri Radha's bliss, her Hladini potency, okay? So both Radha and Krishna emanate the Hladini potency from themselves, okay? Hladini is especially, though, under Shri Radha's shelter as the potency that emanates from her. And this Hladini, this bliss, this prema, this pure love of Krishna and all living beings, this understanding of things on that level is beyond the intellect's logic and reasoning capacity to grasp. Okay? You can grasp it, though, on a soul level, but you're grasping it on a level that's beyond the intellect. Okay? But you're still grasping it. This is the point. So when we read Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, or when you see the word Achintya, it just means beyond the consciousness level in the bliss, Hladini, Shakti, inherent understanding level. Okay, so this refers also. This is very advantageous if you're a right-brained person, an artistic person, an eccentric thinking person, somebody who always thinks outside the box about everything. This is very advantageous for you to understand things on this level beyond the intellect. Okay, which is why the right brain is associated with the feminine principle. And yes, having sex with another man's wife is very sinful, and I've refused all of those opportunities so far. It's always last minute. I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm not going to go through with this. Just not going to do it. And Shri Radha herself, I actually prayed to her that it would never work out also. Any attempt that I made at intimacy with anybody, even on a one-on-one single level, wouldn't work. And she's actually answered that prayer. And she always arranges, like, before anything intimate happens, I always get I get like this horrific, full-body dread that overcomes my system. And I tell her, it's like, thank you, Shri Radha, for making sure that I don't go into this and I don't actually fall into this trap, you know. And she'll literally arrange things to where those things can't work out at all, period. And I always thank her when that happens, because immediately when that happens, she reciprocates more, and so many other realizations happen. Like, amazing stuff happens, you know what I'm saying? So my wanker masturbation issue isn't something that's like, it's not like my focus in life or goal in life is to do that. It's like, okay, I'm addicted to that, yes. But my actual focus is on Radha and Krishna, glorifying them, Lord Chaitanya, even though I still have this addiction. You see what I'm saying? So, knowing this, their reciprocations to all individuals who focus on having this open heart towards them are causeless. So their mercy is always causeless, but they especially focus on reciprocating with those who try to see everyone else from the internal level, the Goloka perspective, and not the external material level. So, yes, hope that makes sense. And I know it's part of the thing is people, okay, well, he still masturbates and stuff, therefore a lot of the stuff he says must just automatically, because of that, be speculation, and people have a right to think that, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, look into this stuff yourself, and you can verify one way or the other whether what I'm saying is legitimate or not, and all that type of stuff. And that's not exactly true, Bill Reinbeck. Illicit sex cannot necessarily be given up by marriage. It can be, potentially, if both are on the same page and if the issue isn't specifically an obsession with illicit sex. Because being bogged down with a family and kids while still desiring illicit sex doesn't get rid of the illicit sex desire. It just bogs a person down with kids, and they still have the illicit sex desire. They have to actually desire to please Krishna in that whole process for that to actually work, right? Like, if you specifically desire illicit sex, like I have always done, like specifically illicit, not just sex in general or whatever, then it doesn't work. The whole marriage thing doesn't work. It's best to just acknowledge you're attracted to prostitutes and stuff. And when I say that, I mean basically any female who's loose is classified as a prostitute according to the Vedic standards, right? If any female who's not married or anything like that at all, period, is referred to. So we're not talking about paying people for sex. We're talking about just loose females in general are referred to as prostitutes, prostitute level, okay? So it's best to just admit that you're addicted to that and not attempt the marriage thing if you know for a fact that your issue isn't going to be solved through marriage, if you're still going to remain addicted to illicit sex and all this other stuff, which is the case with me if I were to go that route. So my focus is on maintaining brahmacharya as much as possible and achieving perfection in this. I've made this decision a long time ago, and you know what I mean. So yeah, that's my path basically. The pain of giving, well, I wouldn't say the pain of raising children part would. The knowledge and chanting part, yes, would. But I wouldn't say the pain part would. The pain part would just basically inducing you pain and the desire to relieve that pain with more sex pleasure. You see what I'm saying? So it all depends on the individual's consciousness too, how sincere in devotion they are and how unsincere they are, right? And my consciousness is so mixed. My consciousness is so mixed up with illicit sex desire and also the desire to please Radha and Krishna. So they're always like, these desires are like balled up, clashing, intermingling, and all this stuff all the time in my head, daily. So that's my situation, basically. It's like, you know, but each devotee's situation is different. You know, it's all individualized. Pain of having, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. What I've noticed in my life is pain. I have very low pain tolerance emotionally and otherwise. Like, I do martial arts and I have like high physical pain endurance, but emotional pain endurance and stuff and mental anguish and stuff in terms of those types of things, relational things and stuff, yeah, it's just those types of pains for me are just unbearable to the point where all those types of pains do to me is inducing me desires to relieve them by illicit sex indulgence, you know, masturbation, pornography, whatever, and that's it. So for me, pain doesn't actually transcend me from anything, which is why Radha and Krishna have been especially gentle and arranged my life in a very nice, peaceful way, because they know my pain tolerance is so low. And so what they do instead is they actually reciprocate with me in loving, kind ways, which are what inspire me to practice brahmacharya. Because they know as soon as I get pain or I start to feel pain, I immediately feel the urge to like relieve that pain in the wrong way. So they make sure I don't go through those pains, is what I'm saying, in my case, at least. Now, other individuals, their psychology may be different to where going through pain helps them to actually devotionalize their life more or transcend. In my case, it doesn't really do that exactly. So they interact differently, in my case, okay? So, yeah. Now, 107, 108. Does anyone, Bill, look, you're on, then there's like Ian Payne's on. Do either of you have questions specifically on this topic we just covered today? The music video, the encoding, why this music video was the one encoded, why Shri Radha does this in this one and not others, so on and so forth. Anything along those lines at all? Because we pretty much covered that up to this point, but there may be some more like desire for clarification on those things, which I'd be happy to give anyone who needs it. Okay, and if not, okay, I'll just keep going. All right, so yeah, we verified that those three songs are directly encoded. The Madonna, Open Your Heart, Belinda Carlisle, Heaven is a Place on Earth, and Block Party, The Love Within, right? So now what we can do, in the process of establishing like preaching centers and things like this, we can actually use these. Oh, no problem, Mati. Thank you for joining in. It was actually a good video. It turned out really good. I'm glad. I actually got to point at stuff this time, which I didn't do in the last one. So I might end up redoing the Madonna one so I can actually point at all the stuff I'm talking about as we go along. But I think after watching this one, the other one will be pretty obvious to people, even more so now, basically. Yeah, and you said, it is said, Lord Krishna will not give us more pain than we can handle. We should do as he asks and pray to him for strength to resist sin. Yes, exactly. And since my pain tolerance is so incredibly low, my emotional and mental pain tolerance is so low. Physical pain tolerance is high, but the mental and emotional pain tolerance is very low. They don't bog me down with too much of that stuff. And they keep the physical pain also to a very minimum as well. Because basically physical pain, even though I can endure it, it like translates in me to a lot of like mental anguish and pain, like beyond the physical pain, you know. It's interesting how it works, but yeah, they take care of me really well. Exactly. So yeah, okay, now now that we're on the end part of this video, yeah, so I'm going to leave this last part of the video. Let's just discuss these topics in general now, like this whole concept of like the direct encodings and things along these lines. as a topic in general regarding so much of this stuff. So what I'm trying to get at is now we can use a lot of these examples in teaching settings, in public forums. So when people come in, okay, we're going to show this music video, we're going to show exactly what the encoding is. And then while people are actually interacting in a temple or a preaching center setting, they can actually get like informed about how even in the mundane world things are shown and encoded to us in all these ways. Yes, exactly. What you're saying about Kshatriyas is correct. Yes. And we discussed that somewhat in a different video on the Varna Shrama video. I encourage you to watch that one if you haven't already. We much more in depth on that. Well, technically, yes, the 4 regs are specifically designed for those who are Brahmana specific in their Varna. It's not designed for Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or Shudras, all 3 of which are allowed to a certain extent in a regulated manner to engage in those things you're talking about. Intoxication, meat eating, multiple wives, gambling, etc., etc. Right? Even though they're still supposed to regulate those activities, they are allowed to engage in them if they're one of those other 3 Varnas, not Brahmana specifically. It's Brahmana specifically who aren't allowed to engage in those things. Now, the thing is, so going about our daily lives, here's a very interesting thing here. So I did a whole video on people erroneously labeling other people sahajas. Basically, it's gotten to the point nowadays where anybody at all who expresses any kind of spontaneous attraction to Radha and Krishna or Lord Chaitanya or enthusiasm in this regards at all is immediately labeled sahaja by those who aren't doing this. Immediately. It's like without asking what they believe, all this other stuff. So the erroneous sahaja labeling stuff, we have to stand up for each other because there's so many people erroneously being labeled this who are just simply enthusiastic devotees and not actually sincere, not actually sahajas at all. Because sahaja is a very specific philosophical viewpoint where you basically mistake temporal for being transcendental, okay? And distinct from a devotee trying to advance, understanding the difference between temporal and transcendental. There is a difference, okay? So devotees understanding the difference, trying to advance, are not sahaja. And if they get labeled such, that's an offense to them, and we need to stand up for devotees who are being labeled that erroneously. Okay. Now, what's really interesting, we're going to deal with a very specific day-to-day topic and point here. So as you're going about your day, right, as you're interacting with people at work or at home or just casually whatever, watching TV or something, we're supposed to be seeing Krishna literally in everything we're doing. What that means is seeing Krishna's form in everything we're doing. What that literally also means is interacting with Krishna face-to-face in everything we're doing. This needs to be our focus all throughout the day. In the mood of attachment in separation, which is what the purpose of the material world is. Okay? So, going about your day, if you're basically just going through the mechanics of chanting, going through the regs, but not specifically seeing Krishna in everything, then you're basically just mechanically going about your devotion without specifically seeing Krishna, because Krishna is present in everything. Now, here's the thing. Because sincere devotees, they see Krishna in everything, but they still see that Krishna is transcendental beyond everything, but he also interacts within matter as well. Okay? Now, on the Prakrita Sahajya side of things, they basically mistake that mundane things are 100% transcendental things. Okay? For example, illicit sex with a girlfriend or a wife, things like that, being processed as actual transcendental activities, leading to Goloka Vrindavana, leading to realization of one's Swarupa, etc., etc. Or jumping to conclusions about your eternal form prematurely without fully having realization thereof, so on and so forth. Okay? Or preaching or engaging activities that encourage others to engage in more illicit sex in the name of devotional service, and sidelining the importance of celibacy. All of these types of things together are within the Prakrita Sahajya fold of philosophical viewpoints and behaviors. Okay? So I did cover this at length in another video. I encourage you to watch that if anybody wants more info on that actual Sahajya stuff versus people being labeled Sahajyas who are just enthusiastic devotees, okay, or neophyte devotees or whatever. So big difference between the two. Big difference. So the thing to understand now is that seeing Radha and Krishna in everything is what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? That's what we're supposed to be doing, because Goloka Vrindavana is actually beyond everything, beyond all pervasive. So it's impossible for anything to not be in Goloka Vrindavana. Can't be, because Goloka Vrindavana permeates everything and is everywhere. Okay? So therefore, The material world, as we explained before, is simply a branch-off series of pastime experiences we're having and being absorbed in for a certain amount of time, but it's not actually happening separately. It's real only in the sense that it's based off of Goloka's reality, which is the actual reality, and it's basically an extension branch off of the reality, a shadow reflection, but it's not anything more than a shadow reflection. It's not independently, separately real at all, in any way, shape, or form. Okay? So don't mistakenly think that Goloka is real, and then the material world separately and conditioning separately are also equally real. No. Conditioning and all this other stuff are only real to the degree that they're connected to Goloka and perverted reflections of Goloka. Independently by themselves as a separate thing, they're not real at all, in any way, shape, or form. They're completely illusory as independent, separate concepts and ideologies. Okay? Yes, what you're saying about the Kshatriyas is correct. That's correct. There are still simple reactions for those things, even though they're allowed to engage in them, so on and so forth. And we covered, so I encourage you to watch the Varnish from a Dharma video. We covered exactly why Kshatriyas are allowed to do a lot of this stuff that even Vaishyas and Shudras aren't allowed to do, because they actually are inclined to purify themselves and do so in the process. So they perform penances, they perform devotional activities, they make up for their sins, all this other. So Kshatriyas always make up for the sins they commit, whereas Vaishyas and Shudras don't so much do that. Okay? And that's why Kshatriyas are allowed to do so many things that the other Varnas aren't allowed to do. For that reason, because they're inclined naturally to make up for their sins, and they do that as part of their daily routine. Okay, whereas Vaishyas and Shudras don't necessarily do that, basically, the same way Kshatriyas do. Now, regarding this point of seeing Radha and Krishna in everything, immediately people are going to jump to things, and they're going to be like, "Oh, well, that means you're just going to look at any song you see, and you're just going to look at anything you see." And immediately see 100% Radha Krishna directly in those things. And that's all you're going to see. Oh, so therefore that's Sahaja also. Well, it's like, no, we're actually seeing that things are the expansions of Radha and Krishna. We're seeing Radha Krishna within things. It's not that you see your girlfriend directly as being Shri Radha or your boyfriend as directly being Shri Krishna. No. You see them as the Jivatma expansion conditioned of Radha Krishna, the conditioned soul, who is a part and parcel of Radha and Krishna. You see that. And then you see Radha and Krishna within them, okay? But you still see the two individuals, the Jivatma who's conditioned and Radha and Krishna in their heart at the same time, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're seeing internal vision. So like when you're watching a music video or listening to music or doing anything in the world at all, the material world, music is interesting because it's so much directly connected to Harinama Sankirtana. You know, dancing and chanting is the natural eternal function of the soul, the Jivatma, in Goloka Vrindavana and in Chaitanya Leela. So therefore, naturally, all the branch-offs of music that we hear in the material world are connected to the original music, okay? The original sound vibrations and dance and things like this. So that's why music is the international language, you know, or the universal language, I should say, because music caters to everyone. You see what I'm saying? Because music in nature is originally transcendental, beyond matter, beyond temporal, which is why it attracts the living entity so much. So when we're listening to music and seeing Radha and Krishna in them and seeing their encodings in various specific songs, things like this, we are engaging in, by doing this, by seeing them in all these ways, we're engaging in actually, we're engaging in an aspect of our original function, okay? And this is what speeds up the process of becoming purified into the Uttama Adhikari devotee. So we have to purposely cultivate this vision of seeing Radha and Krishna in everything, all the time, especially in music and everywhere else, and paying attention to how and in what way they're showing themselves to us in all these ways. Okay? It's not that we just assume everything's mental speculation. We completely ignore everything in terms of encoding, trying to see into things. Some people actually do that, and it's a foolish idea. Basically, where you just go into this consciousness, okay, only my chanting, only the 4 regs, and only these very specific things are devotional service only, and everything else is just complete illusory and maya. And it's like, no, it doesn't exactly work that way. Your consciousness towards what you're doing is what makes it devotional. And that means if your consciousness isn't focused on the form of Krishna and seeing him in everything, in other words, you don't allow mundane conceptions to enter your mind. Anything you're doing, whatever you're surrounded by, you're seeing Radha and Krishna in those things and them telling you things in those surroundings, okay? That's how you have to see things. Otherwise, if you just block it off, okay, this is material, this is maya, this is devotion over here, this is maya, this is devotion. If you look at it that way, it's like so many things that are happening throughout the day aren't going to register you as being Radha and Krishna's reciprocation and interaction with you. You're going to register them as external things instead. Okay? So basically your ratio of the day is going to be like 20% reciprocation from Radha and Krishna that you see and recognize, and then the other 80%, a bunch of mundane stuff you're surrounded by that you can't stand. Whereas if you actually cultivate the correct vision, you're going to see it to where the majority of your day is filled with reciprocation from Radha and Krishna. You're seeing them reciprocating with you in everything that's happening, and that's actually your vision. That's the correct vision to cultivate, right? And that's the whole point. Prahlada Maharaj, he said, is your God in this pillar, right? And he smashed the pillar with his fist, busted the thing open, because his arm was basically invincible. He had so much, universal empowerment in it from Lord Brahma that he could just crack pillars open with his fist and stuff, or whatever he used to break it, club, whatever it was. There's different versions of the pastime at different couples, but the point is basically, excuse me, pillar broke, and Nrsimhadev came out of it and protected him. Okay? Now that's showing something very significant, because not only is what Hiranyakashipu did there referring only to Hiranyakashipu, that's not only referring to the Asuras, that's referring also to devotees who disacknowledge and basically scoff at you noticing Radha and Krishna in something in the material world. Okay? It's the same thing. Them scoffing at you, so you're seeing Radharani and Krishna in that, jar on the table, right? Oh, you're seeing them in that bowl that's sitting in front of you. Oh, you're a sahaja. That's ridiculous, right? You're speculating and this and that. Whereas they could easily just arrange, just like they did with Prahlad, that was whacked, they would immediately come out of it and confirm exactly what was being said. Not necessarily that they will do that, but the point is they are actually in all these things around us. They're in the computers, they're in the tablets, they're in the numbers, they're in, all the elements, the rocks, the sand, the dirt, all over the place. They're in all these things. And it's just a matter of if a devotee is actually seeing them in all these things, and they're in the bodies of others, so on and so forth, then they're having correct pure devotional conceptions. If they're of the mixed devotional conception, they're only seeing Radha and Krishna in certain places. The temple, during chanting, only during temple viewing or murchis or this or that, only reading scriptures, only in these very specific manners are they actually seeing Radha and Krishna. Yes, naturally Radha and Krishna are in those things and double concentrated in those things, but they're also everywhere else too, in every other engagement, you see? So, yeah, he hit it with his sword. I think in this particular pastime, I've read different versions. One he hits it with his sword, another with his club, another with his fist. I like the one where he hits it with his sword, honestly, because I like swords, but but the point is he hits the pillar. That's the main point. Exactly. He would also see Lord Krishna personally as well. Yep, that's correct. Exactly. It's usually not Krishna directly, but they make her think of Krishna. Prabhupada would see Lord Krishna everywhere because his energies are everywhere. Yes, correct. That's the thing. You see Krishna's energies, and on top of that, you also see Krishna himself personally everywhere too, maintaining his individual identity, right? You see both at the same time. So it's like, okay, when you see a jar with a plant on the table, in the plant you see the expanded living entity, Jivatma, expansion of Krishna, and you also see Krishna within the plant. And same thing with the bowl that contains the plant, or the pot. You see Krishna in the pot, and you also see the pot is the expansion of Krishna's energies. Both you see at the same time, right? Now this is the whole thing. This is how we need to look at music videos and listen to music. We need to hear it this way also, okay? You see the mundane version, the mundane side of things, and you also see the transcendental side of things at the same time, okay? Glad to have you join us, Nitya Gaur. So I decided to carry this one on longer. We covered everything from the actual music video, at least in just up until the 50-minute mark, and now we're just basically having a generalized discussion on some of these things going on right now. So, are there any particular topics you guys would like me to cover over the next few weeks or so? Because I've got a lot in store, a lot in mind that I want to cover. So next week's going to be Kali and why he uses the owl symbol, how he runs Kali Yuga. We're going to be dealing with a lot of his stuff, right? A lot of the fetishes that he's spreading, why he's doing it, all these other different things. Speaking of which, yeah, okay. This is water, by the way, not alcohol. Because I only drink water and stuff like that. I don't drink out naturally, being a devotee. I do actually follow that principle. So, So basically, yes, we're going to cover Kali next week, and finally cover his stuff. People have been wanting this for a while. People like that stuff. You asked me what age am I? Well, this body is almost 30 years dead at this point. 29 right now, almost 30. Yep. And still feel like I'm a teenager, which is good. Still feel like I'm 17 or 18. Still have the energy levels that are higher than teenagers too. Most cases. So, yep, that's the key. Radha and Krishna keep us youthful and healthy as devotees. Because on top of that, we make better lifestyle choices too in general as well, and do things that are better for the health. On top of that, on top of them extending each of our lifespans, in terms of the youth side of things, right? So yeah, I'm going to cover that. But this is interesting. Check this out. I'm going to actually go more in depth on this. Why specifically the Radha Krishna Tilaka is this shape. Now, this is the dark green because I'm using eyeliner in place of Gopi Chandana. I still need to order some. I've been procrastinating on it. I will order some. It's just I'm bothered by the manufacturers of that. They only put Krishna and they don't put Radha and Krishna on the package. That just bugs me. It really bugs me. I really want that to change, actually. It's like, show some picture of Radharani or one of the gopis with Krishna, please, you know. But I'll order some anyway, just to have it on hand. But anyway, the point is, this shape right here is referring to the relationship dynamic between Radha and Krishna. So a lot of people, they ask, well, why specifically that shape and structure? Why not some other shape and structure? Well, Shri Radha is this around the outside, okay? The big VU shape, that's Shri Radha, all right? And then Krishna is this center part, right? Now the meaning is obvious. The transcendental meaning of that is obvious, down to the mundane, temporal, perverted reflection meanings of that. The intimate interaction between both of them, eternally. That's why we wear this tilak, right? And naturally, Vrinda Devi, the expansion of Shri Radha herself, facilitating that, basically. I still have to watch that, Nitya Gaur. Still will watch that and look into it. But yeah, pretty cool. I thought that was pretty interesting. That it's very simple what the tilak represents in terms of why we're wearing it. Because so many people, they put so many like speculative, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. It was actually because of a very simple reason. That's the relationship dynamic between Radha and Krishna. That's what it is, you know. So, yep, yeah, very simple. A lot simpler than a lot of people realize, I think. But ironically, Gopi Chandana, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Gopi Chandana doesn't have a Gopi on the box. So it's like every time I order it, I'm like, I'm bothered that I'm giving money to these people to send me. I mean, I'm glad to get the Gopi Chandana, but they're sending me a box that doesn't have their pictures on it. I just feel so insulting to me, to the gopis, to like contribute to that continuing, you know? And that's the main reason I haven't ordered some in so long, right? So I normally like to use Radhakunda Tilaka anyway, so I'll probably order some of that. With Nataya or Kshatriya come a lot faster. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's very good to have a very deep relationship with Lord Nityananda like that, you know. Very important. Ananga Manjari in Goloka Vrindavana, and Lord Balarama in Krishna Lila, right? So, yeah, let's see here. What else? Well, so the International Harinama Sankirtana movement, which we've started up amongst all of us, there's a group of about 11 or 12 of us right now. We're going to start doing videos on a lot of different topics. Recording, we're going to post them on YouTube also, discussing plans for spreading Harinama Sankirtana throughout the world, all sorts of things like this, details about philosophical things, details regarding Shri Radha's glories or form, pastimes, all this stuff. We're going to discuss a lot of this in these videos. And I welcome any of you to join in on this or take part in that. It's going to be interesting because this way it's going to be much more interactive. We're actually going to be able to see each other's faces and actually talk face to face using this technology that Radha and Krishna have provided. It's a lot better than just having. It's a lot better than just having, you know, people typing stuff is great and it's fine, but it's a lot more personal naturally having the face to face interactions and in discussions and things, you know, a lot more uplifting that way. So, see, when I end up going on like this, there's always something more I want to discuss and talk about, and that's on my mind right now. I'm just trying to process what exactly that is that I'm wanting to discuss or bring up. Yeah, okay, this is the thing. what I wanted to specifically bring up is the absolute essential importance of actually reading the scriptures ourselves directly in full detail. So fully through Srimad Bhagavatam, fully through Bhagavad Gita as it is, fully through Chaitanya Charitamrita, that one I still need to fully get through, and all the other scriptures that Prabhupada has left us with. Very important to read these directly, so we have the correct understanding. But there we go. That's what I wanted to bring up in this video also, because a lot of the majority of the incorrect or inaccurate preaching and a lot of the deviant teaching spreading around have to do with people being taught things other than the fact that they're eternally in Goloka, that Goloka is everywhere and all pervasive, and that material nature is simply a branch off pastime, but you're not actually in material nature. So in other words, many individuals are having this assumption that and this is a whole topic I need to actually cover in a whole video all by itself, but I'm going to start bringing it up somewhat in this video too, because it is connected to these topics and how devotees process the world around them. Okay, so as devotees, we need to understand this fact. The living entity does not start off in a Tatash, the marginal region. The living entity is eternally in Goloka Vrindavana with Radha and Krishna. Okay, now as we speak, even because these pastimes never end, in the Ashtakaliya Leela pastimes, any branch off series of pastimes of a living entity entering matter, material world, that's a branch off series of that. Okay, Vaikuntha pastimes are also a branch off of the Ashtakaliya Leelas of Goloka as well. All right, they're all branch offs. But independently, separately, those things aren't happening separately or independently. What's really actually going on at the central core essence is the Ashtakaliya Leela pastimes, 24/7, beyond space and time, in Goloka Vrindavana. There we go. That's another point I want to bring up. Shri Radha herself, she's able to reverse the past. In other words, she can actually change the past and alter the past to reciprocate with a devotee and actually make things work out a different way. Now, what I mean by this is, check this out. When that reciprocation came across, even though she was confirming that song is actually directly encoded by her, when she said "say it's true," she basically referred me to that particular lyric because she wanted me to remember that basically, even if something wasn't true, she can make it true. In other words, like, okay, to reciprocate with her devotees. You see what I'm saying? And literally change the past to the point where the past is actually changed. Not to say that that happened in this particular case, but she has the power to do that, and that's what she was mentioning to me in that reciprocation. And this is very interesting. I was like, wow, that's really trippy, actually, because that means that even if you had like a past that you couldn't stand or didn't like or all this other stuff, Shri Radha literally can change the past to where it never actually took place, into where when you're fully immersed in your relationship with her again, she can literally alter the past, like completely, which is really, really interesting to me, this point, because she bestows that which has never been bestowed before, and that applies to each and every living entity. She bestows each individual something that's never been bestowed before to any other living entity in the entirety of existence. That's really trippy to think about, actually. Just imagine what those things could be, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Think about all the things you desire in this world, right? And or with them, and just imagine what those things could possibly be, right? Fulfilling desires you never even knew you had, right? So yeah. So I don't want to just keep going on and on, but you're saying Nitya Gurdas, you said not a relationship, you got to grab his feet. Well, yes. Well, here's the thing. Grabbing his feet is an aspect of that relationship, though. It's not that you only grab his feet and you completely avoid the personal intimacy with Lord Nityananda. I mean, when I say intimacy, I don't mean sex. I'm talking about like loving intimacy in the real loving sense. When I say intimacy, I think a lot of times people just assume when I say intimacy that I'm saying sex, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's another assumption people seem to have about when I'm talking or something. But I mean actual intimacy, like like intimacy you would have with a friend or a person who's super close to you or something, on a deep level. That's the type of relationship we're supposed to have with Lord Nityananda, not just only the formalized master servant, I worship your feet type relationship. That's an aspect of the loving intimacy relationship with Lord Nityananda, but that's not the essence of the relationship. It's not that, okay, only I grab your feet and then there's nothing else beyond that in terms of well, see, there's the thing. There's a place for all those types of dynamics, but if you want your place to be Vaikuntha or in like Goloka Vaikuntha or some Aishvarya predominated place, Mathura Dvarka or something, then those types of dynamics are more at play there in terms of a lot of the formalities and things like that. You know, so yeah. So I'm going to close this one up now, but I appreciate everyone taking part in this, and look forward to next week. Next week we're going to cover Kale, why he uses the owl symbol, why he does what he does, and how he runs the world, so on and so forth. We're going to go in depth on the conspiratorial stuff for you conspiracy fanatics out there. I am one myself, so I am very much a fan of those types of topics also, because they're exciting topics to cover. But we're going to cover that next week, and then after that we'll play it by ear what we cover next. So in the meantime, I wish you all the best. Hare Krishna and Hare Bol. Thank you, my friends.